Hello and welcome to another one of my hand history reviews. In this particular hand, we're playing 6 max and a micro stakes. First thing we should always do is look at the stack sizes. We have a medium sized stack in the small blind, average stack, average, and another medium sized stack. I'll go ahead and tell you right now, this will be our villain. One thing you should notice is the VPIP of 77 with a PFR of 0. If you're not sure what these are, I recommend going and looking those up. But this player is what we call a calling station, or also called a well. He wants to see every flop. So let's get started. So normally I like to raise 3 to 3.5 big blinds if it's folded to me. I find that if I bet smaller than that, I end up in a multi-way pot, or worse, I get re-raised. But in this particular instance, I know he's going to call no matter what size bet I make, and I have a monster hand compared to what he likes to typically call with. So I make it larger than normal. And I make it 8 big blinds. Could I have made it larger still? Yes, I could have. Maybe I should have. So anyhow, being a well, calling station, he of course calls and the blinds get out of the way. So if we give ourselves the Jack-Jack and we give him a large range, could he have had a even larger range? Yes, it's definitely possible. But for the sake of assigning a range, this is the one I assigned him. So based on this range versus our Jack-Jack, we're a 75% favorite to win. And not the best flop in the world. So let's go ahead and enter this. We have a 6 of clubs, an ace of spades, a 4 of diamonds. Normally I would be a little nervous with this, but if we unclick that, if you'll notice, we're still a 71% favorite to win. Well, why is that? Well, yeah, he could easily have one of these aces, but look at the rest of the cards that are not aces. Aces make up a very small part of his range. So we should bet. Normally I like to bet about a third of the pot whenever there's an ace on the flop. The reason is, whether I have an ace or not, by betting a third I only have to be right about 50% of the time, and you can always go back and enter your pot odds and calculate that to make sure my math is correct. But in this case, I go ahead and bet a little more just because he is a well, so I make it a half-size pot. And being the well, he calls. What would he call with? Well, let's make it red, the hands that he would call with that beat us. So there's no straight yet. There's a set possibility he could have. There's a 2-pair possibility he could have. There's a top pair possibility he could have. He could have queen, queen, jack, jack. But well, let's mark the ones he could call with that we're beating. Middle cards he could call with. Pair of 5s he would call with. Bottom pair he would call with. Remember, this is a calling station. I would say he'd even call with 2 2s, 3 3s. Would he call with no mate hand? Even bad players wouldn't call with a no mate hand. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt. But all the draws he would call with. So based on this, we're still a 66% favorite to win. So the next card is the 10 of clubs. Well, with the 10 of clubs, we're still, before any action, a 90% favorite to win. Remember, there's a lot of non-ace cards, non-set cards. So at this point, we need to bet, but against a normal player, I would probably bet a half pot. Maybe I would even check, just to, I might even would check just to pot control. But once again, I think I'm way ahead of his range. So I would say at least a half-size pot. Well, I end up doing about a third-size pot. I guess my logic is that is my version of pot control. If I checked here, he would know I don't have an ace. So I'm not real happy with that size bet, but you know, I'm not unhappy with it. And once again, being a whale, he calls. So let's mark what he call with. Well, let's mark in red what he calls with that has his beat. There's still no straight. Sets have his beat. Two pairs have his beat. Top pairs have his beat. Queen, queen, jack, jack has his beat. Middle pairs, though, we have beat. So let's mark those with green. He would still call us the middle pair. Second pair, even weak pairs. These are calling stations. He's not going to give up on his 6 or 4s yet. Flush draws, open-ended. Yes, he would do all those. So based on that, we're still a 65% favorite to win. And the river is 10. Not the card we were wanting, but let's enter it. 10 of spades. And right now we're still 64% favorite to win, so we should be ahead of 2/3 of his range. So we need to couple of options. If we check, we're going to have to call any size bet, and by checking, we do give him the right to bluff at it. So I'm not a big fan of checking. I think we should put out a bet out there. The question is what size? Well, at this point, I think third size pots would probably be about best. Maybe 20 big blinds or so. In this particular instance, I bet even less, 15. And he min raised. Wow, what does that mean? Well, let's enter it. Would he min raise with quads? Well, there's only 10-10 out there. But of course he would. Full house he would. Straight, there's none out there. 3 of a kind. Could he have king 10? Yes. Would he have done that with top pair? Well, yeah, I mean now he has 2 pair. You could think is, I mean, even if he has ace 2, now he has aces and 10s. I would say he could probably do that. Would he have raised with queen, queen, jack, jack? No. Would he have raised with a weak pair? No. Would he have raised with nothing? No. I mean, he would have called with all those. Now, calling stations only raise with the nuts or the near nuts. Remember, they prefer to call. So, we're losing. We're not beating anything at this point. The best move is to fold. I mean, what are we beating? Nothing. So fold is in order, even if it is just 15 more big blinds. That is such a small, I mean, we're getting 6.6 to 1. I mean, the pot odds say we should call, but the problem is we're not beating anything. And this player is so passive. What would he bluff with? Unfortunately, I do call, and I get the bad news that he has the ace 7. Yes, ace 7. And unfortunately, we have that in our range. So, I don't know. Maybe I should have just check folded early on. But it's hard against a whale to put him on an ace. There's so many other hands he could be calling with. But anyhow, if you agree or disagree with the way I played this hands, feel free to leave a comment. And thank you for watching.